10, 9, ignition sequence start. All engines running. We have liftoff.
Inside this spacecraft, while everyone was preparing for humanity's next journey into the unknown, one man was carrying something completely different, a small Qur'an. His name was Sultan bin Salman Saud, and in a few moments, he would become the first Arab and first Muslim to travel into space and recite the Holy Qur'an, a milestone no Muslim had ever accomplished before. But here's the strange part. This dream had begun when he was 13 years old. In 1969, young Sultan was one among millions who watched humanity reach the moon for the first time. As he watched that impossible sight on television, something was planted in his mind. One day, he wanted to go beyond the Earth himself and recite the Quran in space. But this isn't where the story gets interesting, because most people would have left it as a childhood dream. Sultan didn't. He built his life around it. He worked towards his mission and became a pilot in 1976. But then, something changed. Years later, the opportunity finally came. Sultan was selected as a payload specialist for NASA's Space Shuttle Discovery, representing the Arab Satellite Communications Organization, Arabsat. But becoming an astronaut wasn't simply about getting selected. The real challenge was about to begin: the training. Weeks of preparation, emergency procedures, physical training, and learning how to survive in an environment where almost everything humans take for granted disappears. One mistake in space could mean there was no second chance. And then, after years of dreaming, the day came. Discovery lifted from Florida, and Sultan was no longer watching space on a television screen. He was going there. The spacecraft climbed higher and higher until the Earth began shrinking beneath him. But something else was about to happen, something no Muslim or human had experienced before. He opened the Quran. Hundreds of kilometers above Earth, Sultan began reading and reciting the words of Allah. But the journey wasn't over. During the 7-day mission, Sultan prayed and completed a full recitation of the Quran. Think about that for a moment. The same Quran recited in the mosques of Makkah was now being recited in orbit. The dream had become reality, but the story was about to leave him with something far greater than a spaceflight record. When Sultan returned to Earth, a reporter questioned him why he recited the Quran in space, but Sultan answered it with a verse.
فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ.
That was the lesson Sultan carried beyond Earth. Wherever you are, whatever your situation, remember the countless favors of Allah and try to repay them by becoming a source of lesson for others. Perhaps his story is only one example, because just 10 years later, another man would give up his entire salary and put all his knowledge into building the house of Allah. Who was he, and what did he create? That story is coming soon, so subscribe.